So, oh god, I can't believe we're gonna actually review this game. So this new House of the Dead game is not worth your money. I'm just gonna say that out here. Don't waste your money. I don't care if this game is $20 or even $25. Hell, I even pre-ordered this game expecting it's like, oh, it's gonna be great, just like the House of the Dead 2 and House of the Dead 3 on the Wii. I'm like, I remember I put in many hours into those games, and I love this franchise for what it is, except for the newest game, Scarlet Dawn. But that's a whole different thing. But the last time we had a House of the Dead port was way back on the Sega Saturn, and that game, let me tell you, that game was such a piece of crap. But at least it was functional, unlike this new House of the Dead remake. Now, for $20, it's a scam. Okay, I don't know who the hell was in charge of this port or this remake in quotations, but this is absolutely the worst rail shooter I've ever had the displeasure of playing in my life. So, what do I mean by that? Well, the House of the Dead game, don't expect it to be that long. Like, for me personally, I was playing this with my brother, and we finished this game within 1 hour. Now, I'm not going to fault an arcade shooter for this because it does its job. I'm like, yes, I understand. It's not going to be like a long campaign like other games, but at least put in a tiny bit of effort to kind of cover, I don't know, maybe give me more gameplay wise, and I'll get into that. So when you first initially boot up the House of the Dead, I will give it one good thing. The music of the main menu goes super hard, and I'll put it right here. And let me just tell you, besides that, that's the only good thing I have to say about this game. And then a remake? No, no, no. This is not a remake. These graphics are straight up ass. This is something you could play in an iOS game, an Android game, and it'll look way better. This is not a remake. This is utter trash. And I don't even know how can you even call this a remake, seeing that the Switch itself can't even handle most of these stages. And then when it comes to the zombies popping up and down from the screen, it actually lagged my Switch, and it just got to the point where my game was crashing maybe once in a while, but that's no excuse. This game is like how old? Maybe 20 years old or whatever the hell it is. It's an excuse. It is not worth $20. This game shouldn't even be sold. And thank God that this game is being released on more major platforms such as Steam, Xbox. So if this game does get a better port, do not play it on the Switch. And what do I mean by that? Well, the whole point of a rail shooter is to kind of like interact with the game, like you're supposed to be shooting and what have you. But the motion controls are complete ass in this. I mean, it's to the point like where half the time when you're aiming at a zombie, like the gyro controls will just go fucky. And yes, there is a way to change the settings, but it doesn't help at all with these controls. Like half the time when you're aiming, the controls will seem to just be off slightly, which in turn is quite annoying because in this House of the Dead game, there are many of these scientists that you have to save throughout the stages to get like bonus points and bonus HPs, just how like the other House of the Dead games are. But you can't do that when the gyro controls don't even fucking work. So half the time I'm fighting with my Joy Cons, and I was thinking like, oh my god, like what am I doing wrong? So you don't have to necessarily use the motion controls, but that beats the whole purpose of these kind of games. Like I'm not going to use the Joy Cons like the standard way of like moving, because that's even worse. Like you can't even like move properly or aim properly. And I'm just like, why? How's anyone supposed to get any of these bonuses or these little challenges done when these controls are constantly fighting with you? And not to mention the fact that also too, like I said before, there are some sections of these bosses where the Switch just cannot handle. Like for instance, the first major boss you go into, like I, what's he? He looks like some kind of like dude like from a BDSM set or something like that. Like half the time when you're aiming for his weak point, which is going to be his little heart, you can't do it simply because the Switch will just kind of like bug out half the time because of how jaggy and like how messy this game is. And also too, not to mention the fact it's a bit confusing on the co-op side. And if you are trying to play with a buddy, just be mindful. You have to go to settings, and it's kind of hidden down through all these random text. You have to keep scrolling down and down into the main menu until you can see the little co-op options so you can activate it just to even do that. And it's not even worth it because your buddy and you can literally cheese this game too by just holding the reload button and the shoot button at the same time. So theoretically, your pistol becomes a machine gun and it kind of breaks the game. And maybe they'll patch it soon enough. But as of right now, I do not personally recommend this game at all. seeing that this is a waste of $20. You can literally buy two Subway sandwiches, a bag of chips that will give you more entertainment than this piece of crap of a game. And I'm ashamed to actually spend my money and wasted my time. And it may be a bit harsh criticism, but there is another mode that you can play called Horde mode, which essentially is the same thing as the arcade standard mode, but as I said before, it's just going waves and waves after zombies and shooting them. But if I can't even enjoy the standard arcade, what makes you think I'm going to sink in any other time into the Horde mode when the controls simply just don't work? So maybe the PC port will be a little better with the mouse thing, and maybe there will be like mods on Steam and what have you that will improve it. But for the Switch part of it, I really don't recommend this game. Even if you are a die-hard House of the Dead fan, like just purchase like the second and third game on the Wii, and that'll be well worth your time and money. And yeah, it's a bit pricey on the sellers market, but if you have a decent computer, you can simply just go on Dolphin Emulator and emulate it for yourself. But anywho, House of the Dead remake, I don't know why it was released like this. Like maybe I did have some enjoyment here and there or some levels when the game wasn't attacking me constantly. But let me tell you, for $20, seems a bit overpriced, and the remake title is kind of unjustifiable, seeing that it. I guess it is a remake, but it looks worse than the original. At least the original had its own little charm and its own little bad dialogue and what have you. But if they are gonna make more games like this, hopefully they do a better job on other ports. I know there's a rumor supposedly a Time Crisis coming out, and I do not want to see it if it's by these same developers. So, yeah, that's my little review of a House of the Dead remake. Don't buy this game; it's not worth your money whatsoever. Save your money for something else. And if you are gonna buy this game, you're just wasting your money. Just spend like maybe $5 to $10 the most, or pirate this for all I care. So, yeah, later.